Okay. All right, guys, welcome to this episode of 30 something. Sarah, thank you so much for being on this show. I dropped into your DMs. I did a little Insta stalking. So thank you so much. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So as soon as I found out, I'm sure like many people around the world, that I was going to be in lockdown or in quarantine with just my family for months on end, I feel like a bad person, but I really worried about the future stability. Yeah. I mean, are you talking to so many people about this these days?
Yeah, a lot of the things I'm dealing with are interpersonal communication issues and relationship things, because the situation that we're in right now has very much so, put a magnifying glass on any problem, or it really magnifies anything, whether that's good or bad. So if the relationships are good, people can feel much stronger and even more connected. But if there are, minor communication issues, those can seem even bigger right now because of the state that everybody's in.
It's difficult. And I know that people are in different sort of stages of, shift. Some people, there's one person working outside of the house still. Some people are both working from home. I keep reading that scheduling is a good thing. Do you agree that that is? And if so, like, how do you break your day down? Because I know, speaking from someone, for myself, I've been in a long-term relationship. It can feel kind of clinical to be like, okay, honey, for the next 2 hours, don't look at me. but you might need to, I don't know.
Yeah. It's important to understand the needs of each person in the relationship, but also like just a schedule and keeping a routine, because there's not much that we can control right now. The reason why a schedule is so good is because it's something that we can control, and it's something that gives us a sense of normalcy. It's something that gives us a sense of, time moving forward. And, sometimes I've talked to people who are like, I don't even know what day it is, because it's hard to really feel normal with what we're going through right now. So creating a schedule, which may look different for both people, I think it's really important during this time to have compassion for what your partner's needs are, and as well as compassion for what your own needs are. And in order to do that, you first have to have kind of check in and have an understanding of what your own needs are. And first be able to ask yourself, how can I meet my own needs? And then if you recognize there are some things that maybe needs that you can't meet on your own, to know how you can ask your partner to help in that area, or kind of get them involved in helping with those things that you need. I really feel like this is a difficult time. People have children, and the doling out of domestic responsibilities. So there are a lot of different factors here, and kind of it's important to look at what's really going on. What are the things that we need? And you first have to do some self-reflection to get those answers.
Yeah. And this time has revealed to so many of us that we've really never taken that time to just stop enough to even know ourselves, which is scary, because if we're trying to manage a relationship, first we should know, like you said, who we are and what it is we need. I think that a lot of people are like, whoa, I've lost touch with who I am as a person a long time ago. So how do you advise someone, especially like I said, who's also trying to manage a relationship on top of this, to first get in touch with who it is they are?
Mm-hmm. So I tell, almost pretty much all my clients that use the analogy that we all start the day with $100 in our emotional bank account. And as we go through our day, the different things that we deal with, the different encounters that we have, the different problems that we're faced with, they take a little bit of that money. We kind of give that a little bit of that money out. And there are some things that we do that put money back into that bank account. Things like self-care, things like, taking time as a family, anything that kind of fills that bank account. So right now we are at a time where even if we have a very good understanding of the reality of what's going on, even if we, are in healthy relationships, you can really imagine it as a significant chunk of that 100 emotional dollars that you start the day with might as well just crumple up and throw in the garbage, because it's already gone. Yeah, so you're already starting the day at a deficit. You're already starting the day down, maybe to 75, where on a regular day you would have started with 100. So what does this do to us? What happens is that throughout the course of the day, the normal problems that would present themselves, we're recognizing, oh, dang, I'm really reacting to that in a different way. Like this the things that my husband does that maybe you don't usually bother me, oh my God, are they bothering me now? I don't even like how he's breathing. Like those kind of things are heightened because we don't have enough emotional dollars in our bank account to be able to deal with the normal stuff. So in order to fill that back up, we have to take an active effort to do little mood boosters, to do things that feel good to us, to do things that we need so that we can be at 100. And I think a lot of times people kind of want to go, I'm going to create a schedule, but it's going to be same old, same old. My schedule is going to look like I get up in the morning, I brush my teeth, I wash my face, I get dressed, I have breakfast, I do this many hours of work, I take a small break to whatever. But it looks really similar to what a normal day would be, which, great and fine, but nowhere in there is time for a mood booster, time for things that would give money to that bank account. So when we say, oh, we need to develop a schedule, a big important part of that schedule is actually adding things in there that will boost that bank account, that will put you, give you money, give you emotional dollars, give you things that will give you enough in that bank account to get through the stuff we're dealing with and the difficulties of the day. So it could be, and so adding things like, and a lot of times it feels like it's going to be different for every person. It might be listening to a song you really like, sending an encouraging message to a friend, and actually scheduling that and making that part of your schedule, because we have to do these things more. So we have to put more effort into boosting our mood and feeling good and taking care of ourselves if we're going to go in and move throughout our day and be in the normal relationships that we're in.
Yeah, I think so many women, caretakers that we tend to be, I hate to generalize, but that is just how it is, right?
Yeah.
I think, now more than ever, we are in like beast mode, right? We're like, okay, now I got to be a teacher, and now I got to be, a cleaner of the house. And it's just like, I think my big issue, and what I'm hearing echoed from a lot of friends, is like, I don't even know where to start to get through the day anymore, because my day is now 5 people's jobs all in one. So for someone who's kind of vibing at that level, what do you tell them where to start and how to prioritize that? Because everyone's needs are now all our jobs.
Totally. So a lot of it is just checking expectations and maybe readjusting expectations. So if we have the expectation that we're going to be conquering every single one of these things head on like we normally would when we had that $100 in the bank account, we're going to be very disappointed.
Right.
So and you kind of have to think of like, where do we start? Where do we start in all of this? Just like you were saying. And really, I think the most important thing and what can be so valuable about this time is to spend it doing some reflection. We're all under the same roof. If you are in a house with all your family, have a meal where you guys sit down and talk about what is important. Mm-hmm. Maybe make it fun. Make it an activity where you guys draw a family tree together with your family's name in the middle. And then on each branch, you write something that's important, the value for your family, time spent laughing, being outdoors, having a connection to something spiritual, whatever it is. But you guys as a family come together. What I promise won't be on that tree is making sure that I have a perfect looking wardrobe, making sure so a lot of the things that maybe used to be the ones that were really important to us, hitting the next benchmark in my financial success and blah, blah, blah. Of course, all those things are great goals, wonderful, but would they be on that tree, on that family tree on those branches of things that are important?
It is humbling, I must say. And I mean, I always thought I was a person who had my priorities straight, and I think I do, but then you're pummeled with something like this. And I think the emotional exhaustion of having to reprioritize everything. And wow, we spent a lot of time doing really unimportant stuff usually.
Really my gosh. A lot of us have realized this. Yes, absolutely. I mean, I just think about the time I spent doing returns. I'm like, I don't know whether I need to stop buying stuff I don't like or whether I just need to give up on the return process. But goodness gracious.
That's like my husband.
Now that I don't have to stand in those lines.
Oh my God. Yeah, I know. I laugh. He still has these shipments coming in. He'll like buy things in like groups of 10. And I'm like, I can't understand how he gets them back out the door for returns. I'm the type of person when I buy something, even if I don't like it, I'm just like,
yeah, because that is something that you don't value putting time into and is not important to you.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't be on your list of things that you've given up and decided that's clearly not important to me, but it's on mine. So it's like understanding what are things that maybe I've put more effort into that I don't need to reprioritize, and give yourself a little bit of compassion and I guess permission to maybe push back on some of the things that you thought were things that you wanted or thought were things that were important.
What's the biggest complaint that you're hearing from married couples or people like living under the same roof right now? Are you hearing any of the same complaints?
A lot of people are talking about intimacy issues that have come up.
Yes, because who wants to have sex when you're just
nobody?
I mean, it's hard to get in the mood.
Of course, because if you think about it, a lot of us are in, whether we know it or not, we are in this weird survival mode where our brain, in a way, there's this anticipatory grief. There's this feeling that there's a danger out there in the future, but we can't see it. We don't know what it is. So our brain is like in that fight or flight survival mode, like sensing that, I don't know, there's not really a lot of security right now. And if you think about it of like that fight or flight, like a gazelle being chased by a lion on the plains of Africa, do you think that lion or that gazelle is going to be like, oh, I'd like to go get busy in the bushes over there? No, he's running from a lion. He's got other things to worry about.
Bigger things.
Go get busy. That is not on this to-do list. So that is kind of how you have to think about us right now. We do not want to do that. And yes, those things are important. They're very important and they can be so helpful and so healing. But we need to recognize what gets us in that mood. For women, it's oxytocin. For men, it's testosterone. So here's where a lot of the trouble lies, is that in order for men to boost up their testosterone levels, they need to spend time alone. That's why when you get in a fight with a guy, they'll always be like, I gotta go, I need a few days. You know, I think of like women are like speedboats and men are like barges. Men are slow moving. They take a lot of time to change. You have to give them a ton of warning that the turn is coming up. And then they'll slowly move and adjust.
Love it.
And a woman's like, no, I'm going to change so quick. And like maybe sometimes too fast. And she ends up like crashing on the rocks. So women, in order to raise that oxytocin up, they need connection. They need human interaction. That's why the woman's like, no, I want to talk about it. Let's sit here and let's connect over this issue and talk about it until, we're blue in the face. So instead of trying to get that from each other, because the man's going to be like, I need time alone. And the woman's going to be like, no, no, no. And so what happens, you have one person approaching and one person moving away. And that then just gets intimacy further and further, like off the table. Mm-hmm. What we need to do is each person needs to be able to do those things that get them to that place where they can feel safe, secure, and ready to be intimate and not in that fight or flight mode. So maybe that means the one partner taking time, and also I want to say this is for a male-female partnership, right? And so I'm being specific about it just being in a heterosexual couple. I know there are many different kinds of couples out there, and this is like, so this is like a prescription just for this particular duo. So the woman, in order to get to that place, has to recognize what she needs to feel safe, secure, and comfortable. Maybe that's a good FaceTime chat with some girlfriends. Maybe that's something where she can feel human connection and raise those levels up to feel safe, secure, and comfortable. Man, on the other hand, maybe that's why they have like man caves and stuff where he needs time to go off, and like whether that means he needs to go on a run. The best time for sex, right when he gets back from a run, right when he gets back from being alone. The best time for a woman, right when she gets off the phone with her girlfriends, and recognizing, because those oxytocin levels will be highest and that testosterone level will be highest. And, sometimes middle of the day, that's best. I know kids are around. It's really hard.
It's okay. That's what locks are for. You just make it happen.
Who's doing it with kids? I mean, come on.
Oh, girl, the struggle is real. But I really like I love the specificity though, because you're right. You're saying this stuff and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right. I feel most in tune with my body and my emotions and myself when I feel like I'm having several points of connection in my world. And so I'm going to take that advice and just like, it's hard though. Like you said, you know, we feel best about ourselves. Again, like you said, we're sort of speaking blanket, but I'm speaking from my personal experience. I feel most connected with myself when I am able to be in the greater world and connect with people. And this time has been so difficult for so many of us because the added responsibility has just made it, there's just like there's some bitterness there. I'm seeing so much stuff flying around on social media, saying, you know, I want my child to be educated. I appreciate that this is something they have to do, but I'm not a teacher and I'm horrible at this job. And it's like, I mean, people are angry right now. So it's almost like we have to get through the anger and the denial that this is life. This is how we're living right now, and then move beyond it to everything else. But it's tough. It's just really tough right now. And I read something that I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. The pandemic itself, of course, will run its course as it does in whatever timeline. But someone just shared this article yesterday that said, you know, life will never be the same after this. You do. How will the world look differently? Peer into your crystal ball, because that is a very disconcerting thought for someone who is anxious like I am.
You know, you can look at it two different ways. You can think of it as, oh, this is disconcerting that the world will never be the same. Or you can say two same sentence said two different ways. The world will never be the same. Or the world will never be the same. Mm-hmm. We know that it might make it so healthcare workers get more credit and recognition, so that we have hazard pay that goes to the like sanitation workers and people who work with our trash. It could change the relationship that we have with our aging population and the elderly community. And yes, it will absolutely change. That does not all necessarily mean change for the bad. It could mean, just like we were talking about in the beginning, of recognizing what are the things that we really value, what are the things that are really important. You know, can I maybe give a little over here to get a little more connection and compassion and humanity in this way? You know, and it might be even something simple. You know, I work as a therapist. I do a lot of sessions, or used to do a lot of sessions face to face and in the office. Some people might go, oh my gosh, this was so great being able to do therapy like from my own house. I don't have to worry about getting a sitter and all that. And I'd like to keep doing therapy online. And maybe a lot of jobs we can now move online, or kind of read like a change in the industries and kind of things like that. But we are the one, I mean, we kind of like decide whether something is good or bad. Nothing is in and of itself a good or bad. We just label it that way.
I like that perspective.
You know?
I do.
If you love the rain, it's a great day when it's raining outside. If you hate the rain, it's a bad day. It is all a matter of perspective.
Yeah, I love that. I think I've heard several people say now too that they will take lessons from this moment, not only for themselves, but for their relationship too. Like, you know, not taking certain things for granted, you know, our independence, our ability to go out into the world and then come back together as a couple. So I like that perspective. I'm going to try to hold on to that, because man, I scrolled through that article yesterday and I was like, ugh, okay. Yeah. I mean, it's just it's unprecedented times. I want to get your thoughts on this. People are making a lot of statements about the compatibility of introverts and extroverts at a time like this. So what are your thoughts on, particularly during a period of stress like we're under, where couples are spending extra time together? Are you seeing more success when partnerships are that opposite match, introvert, extrovert? Do they tend to thrive under these conditions?
Well, so a lot of people have a misunderstanding of the term introvert and extrovert. And we think an extrovert is that person who's really gregarious and outgoing and like, woo, they're all like, I don't know, big talkers and very loud. And an introvert's like quiet and keeps to themselves. When really, if you look at like the true definition of extrovert and introvert, is an extrovert is somebody who gets their energy from being surrounded by other people and being in the presence of other people. That makes them, like, revs them up, gives them energy and refills the tank. Then there are people who need solitude. They need time alone. To a lot of people who, I mean, I was on reality television. I have a podcast. I speak professionally for like hours on end in front of people. You would think, oh my gosh, she's an extrovert through and through. No, that's what I do for work, but I need my alone time. I need to rev up by, having time like really to myself. That makes me feel good. So it's understanding what the individual needs to fuel the tank, to put, I don't know, gas back in their car. And that may be difficult right now. If you have an introvert, they're like, oh yeah, this is great. I'm alone and it's wonderful. And, I am noticing that clients who are more introverted and also clients who have a lot of anxiety tend to be thriving right now. I mean, not thriving, but all things considered. I mean, nobody's thriving, but maybe the paper towel companies and the toilet paper companies, but that's about it.
Yeah.
But they are handling, I should say, they're coping really well, because often with anxiety, you're like, I'm really anxious. I don't know where to put this. I know I'm going to freak out over the house burning down. And because I don't know where to put all these feelings. Well, now they finally have something to dump all these feelings of anxiety into. So they're like, oh, yeah, it's all the pandemic stuff. That's where I can put it. And like, I know where to put all these feelings, right over here. And the introverts are like, oh yeah, welcome to staying at home. It's great. It's wonderful. Where the problem can be is if you have somebody who wants to go spend time with others, and now they're readjusting to a life where they can't go and they can't get that same connection. But if that person can recognize how they can make those social connections and refuel and re-energize, like I have a boyfriend who's very much an extrovert and really gets his energy from connecting to friends. So he and his buddies have like a sort of happy hour where they meet up and they chat, and goes in the other room and talks to them. And there are a bunch of apps for that you can use where you can like play Pictionary with a bunch of people. And yes, it will be different, but it can give them those same payouts and those same benefits. And understanding that that is what your partner needs, and not feeling offended by it. I don't feel like when he's like, oh, I'm going to go in the other room and I'm going to go, talk to my friends and do that whole thing. If I take it as, oh, he doesn't want to be with me, then that would be, not good. But if I could recognize that that's how he needs to fill his tank, that's how he needs to, decompress from a long day and, feel good. Oh yeah, go ahead, go do that. And so both partners understanding and having compassion and giving permission to do what they need to do to re-energize. And that may be the other person saying, I'm going to go and read a book. Which, if one partner who's the extrovert is like, oh, they don't want to be with me, they want to like go read a book, they must not like me, they must be mad at me, I must have done something wrong, then you can have a problem. But if that partner understands that they are married to or living with an introvert who needs to go read a book to feel calm and good and re-energized, then yeah, go ahead, read that book. We just can't really take anything personally at this time.
Right. I wonder how many couples will come out of this like bound for breakup or divorce. I ask that in all seriousness because we are revealing ourselves for who we truly are. And it's shocking how many people, I mean, myself included, in the past have been in relationships with people that you really didn't know. So I'm just wondering if there's going to be some big boom after things settle, that people are going to have a change in their relationship status.
Well, who knows? It's kind of like I said before. There's a magnifying glass on problems right now, problems and on everything right now.
Right.
So it will definitely magnify anything that's going on, because you don't have those normal coping strategies, and you don't have that means of escape or things like that.
Yeah. What are some good questions that we can ask our partners? I mean, if we're trying to be productive and, use this, like you said, shifting our perspective as a period of growth for our relationship, what are some questions we can ask our partners, even if we've been with them for years, to get to know them a little better or to spark meaningful conversations?
So this is one that I think we can use with our partners or with anybody, who we're close with, even with our children. We've been doing a lot of talk about like, wow, how are you doing through all this? What's going on through all this? And we kind of give like the surface level answer, but there's, how are you doing through all this? And then the deeper, how is this really affecting you? How is this changing you, on a day-to-day basis? Like, how is this affecting your mood? And really just getting to those deeper, that uh, kind of the underneath the, yeah, this is crazy, but oh, isn't it weird? And like, oh,
Mhm.
work stuff and blah, blah. But so in understanding, like that even if we can manage, even if we have good perspective on, the dangers that are out there and what's really going on, this is still affecting us. This is
Mhm.
still taking away some of those emotional dollars. And so just starting every day, or at some point in the day, having time to connect and just recognize that, and just say like, and when there are maybe reactions that may seem more intense or more heightened, or maybe your partner's more withdrawn or more distant, to recognize that it might be, if we zoom out on what's going on and look at this from a huge like macro level, not just on a micro level, this is like crazy stuff that
Mhm.
is is really affecting us whether we are aware of it or not. And to understand that any reaction that may be um, out of the ordinary, or something that we don't like, could be, is most likely related to the
Mhm.
situation that we're in. So thinking like, is this how this person would react if, we weren't cooped up and on lockdown for the last however many days, and with, who knows how long we're going to be in this situation. And so just to add those moments, and the same way I was saying that we have to do things to boost that emotional bank account, it's almost like your relationship has its own emotional bank account, where you have one person, one partner, the other partner, and then your relationship in a separate one. And both people have to be doing things to boost that relationship, checking in, and like you said, kind of having that curiosity. If you
Mhm.
think about when you and your husband first got together, and when you guys were on your first dates, isn't there like a curiosity that you have about him, of like, what's your favorite band? What do you like to listen to? Like, what's your like, top 5 desert island like books or whatevs?
Yeah.
When was the last time you guys talked about that kind of stuff?
Yes. Yeah, that's true. I mean, those little things I think do matter, and those little points
Yeah.
of connection, because you're right. We get into patterns in our daily life, and it's so easy to just forget about who that person is as an individual. And as you're talking too, I'm this thought came to mind, and I'm curious to get your opinion. It seems like a good time to help our kids develop their emotional intelligence too. And I know there's different advice based on the ages. So, maybe we don't want to be talking to our 5-year-olds about widespread
Mhm.
death, but can you give us advice if we want to be frank and honest with our children about what's going on without scaring them?
Mhm. You know, it's always important to teach emotions, and to teach emotions and how they feel. I think the best thing that can be age appropriate across the board is identifying emotions and what those feel like. So a lot of times, even as adults, we'll say, "Ooh, I feel scared." How do you know you feel scared? What signals go off in your body telling you that you feel scared? So a lot of times we get in this place where we sort of think about everything from the neck up. We're doing a lot of thinking, we're doing a lot of worrying, we're doing a lot of uh, all of that. Anxiety is like worrying about what's going to happen in the future. Depression is worrying about what happened in the past, things that we can't even change. And so all of that exists all like in these thoughts in our heads. So instead, if we just practice checking in with the body, how do we feel right now? And helping our kids learn how to check in with how they're feeling will give them a language to talk about emotions. Okay, so how do you feel right now? I feel wiggly. Okay, I feel a little wiggly in my chair. Okay, well maybe that's like kind of, she's anxious. Okay, well what else does it feel like? Oh, where do you feel? Does it feel like your heart is racing? And so helping kids like identify what they're feeling, and where they feel that in their body, will also help them control those feelings. So if you find that you have a kid who is really anxious after being cooped up all day, because who the heck isn't? So what does that feel like in your body? How can we do some deep breathing? And let's do 5 big deep breaths. And let's check in with those wiggles after doing 5 deep breaths. I bet that you don't feel as wiggly now. Oh, no, I don't. So what did we just do? We just taught the kid how to identify an emotion and feeling of anxiousness in their body. We gave them a coping strategy, and we showed them the difference between before using it and after using it. So it's just incorporating those little things and into your day that, I know they kind of sound silly to do, but they are very impactful.
It doesn't. No, we do deep breathing with my kids, and like at first, then sometimes still they're like, okay, mom, but like it works. I have one child who's just, I mean, he comes by it honestly because he's my child, but has so many questions about things that at nighttime he's like, okay, but what if this happens? What if that happens? And how does this work? And I have to be like, I know you have so many questions, but we need to learn how to quiet our minds. And I feel for them because I know that they're going to take after me, and an anxious mind or even a curious mind is just one that's really difficult to calm in times like these. So I just love hearing those practical tips, because that is something you can do tonight with your kids. And it works for us. I know that.
There is a wonderful, wonderful book by Dr. Daniel Siegel that's called The Whole Brain Child. And he has online videos. He's done TED Talks. He's like anything you can find. He is really good at working with kids and helping them kind of control their mind. And there is a technique that he uses called the wheel of awareness, where if you think of it as a bicycle wheel, where you have the hub of the bicycle on the inside, and then all the little spokes that come out, and then a tire around it. He says that everything that happens in our external world is like the tire of the bicycle. That is like, what's going on environmentally or contextually or within our family, or, how we do in school, all those things, all external. And at the center of the hub is who we are, that's never changing, that's fixed, that's unconditionally loved, that is, and helping a child understand what those things are, who he is at the core, at the center of the hub, so that all those questions that your child asks, those he can imagine are like little journeys out from the center of that hub toward the tire on that spoke. And he gets all caught up in the outside of the wheel of the tire with all these external things. Oh, what's this over there? What's going to happen? Why did the sky turn blue? What happens if my ceiling fan collapses on me and falls down the middle of that? All these things that was an example from the book.
That happened to me, by the way, which is I blame for all of my neuroses as a child.
That would be a little thing that happened out there. And so rather, we can worry about all these things that happen externally, but instead we got to take a trip down one of those spokes and return to the middle of the hub. What are some things that you definitely know? You might not know why the sky is blue. Who has time to answer that right now at 10 o'clock at night when it's time to go to bed? What are things that you do know? You do know, how much your family loves you. You do know. So focusing instead on like what's at the center of that hub will help a child build his self-confidence, will help a child feel like no matter what's happening externally, I know these things are never changing. And so focusing on the things that are fixed, that are never changing, can be so helpful in a world that is always changing and is very unpredictable right now.
I love that. That is so beautiful. And that is something that I'm going to immediately put to use. And I think that's helps a child understand too, even using that imagery. I love that. Okay. I can't let you go without asking about your podcast. I see one of your beloved fiddly figs in the background here that I have to talk about. So tell us about the Brain Candy podcast. You and Susie have such an amazing chemistry, and it's so fun to listen to. So tell us all about it.
She is my best friend. We call it Candy for Your Left Brain and Right Brain. So we just try to take fun, exciting stories, things like interesting history that you probably didn't know, and make it entertaining, make it educational. We've heard that it's a excellent podcast to listen to if you don't know what to talk about on a first date, because
that's true.
We have it's an office party and you feel awkward in maybe you are that introvert and you're like, I don't know what to say in a group of people. I guarantee you, we have a million things in our episode that
the scope is just like so broad. And I was like thinking, do you guys both like equally research that stuff, or like do you go into each episode with like, I have 5 things today and you have 5? Like, how does it work?
We each kind of take an episode and, kind of trade off every other. And there's just so much information out there, and there's so many new exciting things coming out that it's endless. The material is endless. So we just, found things that were really interesting to us, and try to talk about them in a light, fun way, and where you laugh and you learn. And as long as Netflix keeps giving me great documentaries like Tiger King, I can keep this train
I
going.
haven't started it. Is it good? Is it as good as everybody says? Really?
Good is a word you could use.
Entertaining.
Fascinating. I would use those as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, well, you guys are, it's just so fun to listen to you. I feel like I know you from having listened. So, thank you so much and tell us again, before we go, where we can find you. I know I said it's called Brain Candy Podcast, but tell us your socials and any big projects you might have coming up that you want to tell us about too.
Find us, thebraincandypodcast.com, and Brain Candy Pod on Instagram. You can also follow me at I'm Sarah Rice on Instagram. I also offer my services as a marriage and family therapist, and work with families and couples and individuals, and all online right now. So if anybody is interested in that, I'm available for that as well. And please contact us. Tune in to the podcast. We do 2 episodes a week, and so we're always coming out with fun new material. We have a monthly book club that you can subscribe to that we do on a sliding scale. So we want to make sure everybody who loves books can be a part of the book club. We have memberships from $0 to $9. You just let us know what you want to pay, and you can be a part of it. The meetings are monthly, and they're so much fun, and we read great books. We always laugh and cry and drink wine, and it's so much fun.
So appropriate for this time too, to meet virtually for all of this stuff. Sarah, thank you so much. I truly appreciate your time.
Oh, it's been a real pleasure.
See you soon.
All right, take care.